Volvo is presenting the all-new generation of the V60. It is on the same new architecture platform, the SPA platform, than the XC60. Here now with the Estate first. The same will be coming also as a sedan again with the S60. And we'll take a look at it in exterior and interior and tell you more details. And let's continue here with the front Thor's Hammer LED headlights and with the LED daytime running light signature. This is the Inscription front grille with those vertical fins. Inscription is a top model, which is not recommendable in the interior, however. I'll tell you more about that later. Overall, very beautiful front and also in line with the XC60, for example, because it's on the same, this SPA platform they're using for all of their bigger cars now. Then the Inscription model comes with 18-inch rims. They start with Inscription and the Momentum trim levels at first, more trims following later. Those ones here, the optional 19-inch, and you see it's a rather simplistic design in the side profile. The shoulder line is forming out, just starting from the middle and then raising to the rear part of the vehicle, and then those classic vertical, horizontal split taillights there from Volvo Estates or Volvo SUVs, so a clear design language. Overall, if you compare it to the predecessor model, this one looks a little sharper in general. Fake exhaust tips, by the way, it's almost standard nowadays in the industry. So, what do you think about the design of the V60? To me, it's quite pleasing. So, nice looking Estate, definitely. And again, the outgoing model, it's not a super revolution design-wise, but it's definitely a little sharper, more precise in the design. The outgoing model is a little rounder, definitely in the shape. The biggest difference is, of course, that the headlights look totally different now. 4.76 m or 15'6" is the total length of this car. That means it has grown in about 13 centimeters. That's actually quite a lot. And yeah, we had a discussion lately if that's still mid-size. Yeah, this one is really against the Mercedes C-Class Estate, for example, or the Audi A4 Avant, or then, of course, the BMW 3 Series Touring. The V90 then, the bigger, that one is, upper mid-size than E-Class, BMW 5 Series Touring, or then also the Audi A6. Here also we got another color with this darker tone blue. It's a very elegant color, or what do you think? So it's not really my Thomas blue, but I think a very, very beautiful approach. Also then with contrasting chrome roof rails right there. You see the window line is still rather upright. It's not, this typical boxy old Volvo design. They've cut that one out. Of course, it will be very interesting how that affects the room on the interior. We'll soon take a look at that. But as the car has grown in length, it definitely has some effect of that. And I'll close the hatch right here for you, that you can take a look one more at the side profile in this color. 530 until 1,360 liters is the capacity of the trunk or the loading area, and you can see those suitcases are fit in right here. So it's actually a good example of what it is capable of. You see, it doesn't have the typical Volvo boxy design as we know, but still you can see it can take a lot of stuff. And we'll soon also take a look at the trunk, which is empty, to compare it. See, this one here seems to flip down automatically. Again, we'll test it with the empty one. What you can already see here is how to flip the seats. It's on the right lower part. You can then press the buttons then to flip the seats around. Well, we can do it right here. Why not? So, let's press that one. There we go. So, and then when I put that one out, you can see how we can load things through. It gives you an even loading surface right there. And the same thing you can also do with the left side. So yeah, let's take it out, come on. Let's work it around. That looks better here with the bright interior. So then we have this full setup, looks quite nice, also in this clean, bright setup. This is, by the way, to split the trunk. We know that also here. You can put things in, and or maybe a backpack that has to stand upright. It's a good solution. And also, whoa.
That one is locked.
Ah, it's locked. So you can actually open that usually when it's not locked with this vehicle here. So one more thing I want to test is this one here. Put it like this as well. And let's just see what happens if that has any effect on the hatch then, because when we close the hatch, let's also check the child safety test. Whoa, that's way too much torque. Wow, that can actually behead you. Wow, 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 wow. That is really heavy stuff. I think that's an engineering fail. But then, you know, see, this one is obviously not connected. So that seems to be all manual. Let's just close it again and see what it does. Yeah, it just stays up, you see. So I think that could be done too, that you have basically a connection then between the hatch and this cover lip. That would be quite nice actually, but they don't. Let's take a look at the interior. Structured soft surface on the top part. Looks really great from the build quality here. Optional Bowers and Wilkins sound system. It's also good for performance from what we know. Not really suitable for bigger bottles here, so they cannot really stand upright. Then the interior also with the inscription, top trim level. Well, I think it's too expensive, you know. It brings the price up. 40,000 is the entry price at the moment. But then with the inscription, you can easily double the price, also with the bigger engine. Then I like the steering wheel, you know, with the dual tone setup. That's nice in design. And also the Scandinavian setup here with the matte wood interior right here, for example. Simplistic Scandinavian design. The seats here usually offer a lot of comfort at Volvo, no matter in which trim level you go for. I like the bright color, but of course Volvo is still... They want to be a sustainable brand, but they use still so much animal skin. That's a little contradiction then. So then let's get inside. Wow, and they're really, again, very comfortable. To me, the Volvo seat forms are among the most comfortable in the automotive industry. Again, no matter which car of those you pick, and also no matter which trim level. So I will, you know, I'm always taking the customer perspective for you and try to get you the best price performance deal for the vehicle, because I think, you know, it's not in my interest that the manufacturers earn more money. It's in my interest that you get the best experience for the least amount of money. And so the momentum trim level, for example, will also be fine. Here, by the way, the steering wheel can be adjusted, and they've smoothened up the process here. So wow, I can easily do that with one hand. Very nice. So I also feel that one of the first new Volvos, like the all-new XC90, was not that good from the build quality. That one, by the way, I like that more in the XC40, which is matte here again with the shiny black elements. Well, coming back to the build quality, here now when you look at it, besides those elements, they've stepped up the game a little bit more step by step with their new vehicles. Here also very wrapped tightly with the top dashboard. You get the digital instruments right there. So actually, you have two kinds of setup. It starts with 8-inch, just like this. And then optional, you get this one here, the 12.3-inch. However, at the middle display, you always get the 9.2-inch right there. That is standard for all cars. Soon more details to that, but we know it basically from other Volvo models so far. We'll take a quick tour of that. This one reminds of the V90, those vertical vents right there. And special to see here, this is this Swarovski style crystal shifting lever. I think for mid-size cars, maybe a little bit over the top. Start engine right here. They have removed, by the way, the function that you could turn it left, you just turn it right. And the driving mode, also in this crystal style, also gives you a nice acoustic feedback. And then you can pick different driving modes, but usually they don't have a big difference. What a pleasant design again with the horizontal design lines here and the matte wood. Wow, that is really cool. Also with the bright interior. I just love that design-wise. The infotainment screen, by the way, it cleans up the interior somehow, but then again, the temperature changing while driving, you can get used to it a little bit, of course. You can also use the voice command. I'm not sure if it's working here now. I'm cold.
Temperature set to 21 degrees.
That worked pretty quick. I'm hot.
Temperature set to 20 degrees.
I'm cold.
Temperature set to 21 degrees.
Let's see. I'm very, very cold.
Searching music and radio.
Searching music and radio. Okay, very cold is obviously not, but you see, when I say I'm cold or when I'm hot, it changes the temperature to 1 degrees up or down. So that works pretty well. I mean, it's a good solution. Other than that, you can do it in those 2 different ways, or 3 ways actually. So you can adapt to it while driving. And here also with ventilation or heated seats, and my favorite feature, the heated steering wheel. Other than that, you have this home screen. You can activate assistance systems and stuff. This is the GPS. We can also maximize it. It's very responsive overall. We were quite satisfied with it so far. This is the home screen button. And on the right side, you can, for example, access the CarPlay. You can also connect your phone via Bluetooth. You have both ways available. And then, you know, when you hold the button here, you have this cleaning mode, so it doesn't react to anything. And then you can clean, because you see it does collect a lot of fingerprints for sure. Another nice feature is this volume turning knob. It feels pretty loose, but it gives you an acoustic feedback. And somehow feels funny, and you can spin it around. You know, not temperature DJ, but volume DJ for today. Other than that, just the mandatory buttons by law that are still left over here, for example, for the hazard lights. Then this middle console part, you know, we are not a fan of the shiny black. Why? Look at that. Fingerprints, dust, scratches, and so on. Cup holders, adaptive. And again, wow, this contrast between bright and dark. I like this color scheme, contrasting one. But of course, you can also get it in pure dark. Electric handbrake, and then fixed the attached middle console, but very shallow right here. You cannot see it right now, I think, but just here where my finger is, then there are 2 USB ports. And for a big smartphone, yeah, I finally got a new phone, guys, so because someone was complaining that I had an old phone. Oh, look at that. I want to show you a smoothie. There is my cat. Oh, isn't she sweet? But this is just one, you know, this. Let me show you her sister. Here we go. That's her sister. There are 2 eyes. Oh, the tiger and the black one. Aren't they sweet? Then 12-volt power supply. And that's it for the middle console. So good that this car is powered, because then we can also open the panoramic roof. And it's really a very big one. Wow. Well, the opening here is not that huge, but the overall glass roof is really huge. So interesting option to go for sure. So we can close that again, and there's also a shade available. So when I press forward once more, here we go. Hey, nice moving effect on camera. Although, I mean, if you're in a very hot climate, that might still get a little bit too hot, but you know, they can adapt your buying choice for that. Another interesting detail is this frameless rear mirror. It's always looking elegant and also good for your visibility overall. I like it when they pay attention to those details for sure. Then the mirror right here, also with a light. You can check yourself out. Hey, what's up? So I think it's also a good solution. Overall, then the headroom in the front with the panoramic roof. I'm 1.86 or 6'1". Leave still some room over my head. If you need more space, then leave out the panoramic roof. So let's get in the rear compartment. Here we go. It's actually quite easy entry, but the car is still sitting very low, especially if you compare it to the Volvo SUVs. Then I had the seat as I would be sitting, which still gives me plenty of legroom. That's the big difference to the predecessor generation. I could hardly sit in the predecessor generation, legroom-wise. That's the 13 plus centimeters we also have in length, so definitely a big improvement. However, you see that the seat itself is pretty thick, so it's not the car with the best package. But if you consider the Volvo V90, for example, I don't see the V90 having much more legroom than this one here, for example. There's still a big tunnel because we also have all-wheel drive system. So in the middle part, you don't sit too well. You have seat heating also for the outside of the two seats. Well, here on the inside, still working somehow also headroom-wise, even though we have the panoramic roof. We still have a lot of headroom left, also in the rear, even more in the side seats. For shorter terms, it's quite okay. And in general, for middle seating of a car, it's still quite reasonable, also if you compare it just with your feet with the middle tunnel. Here again, even more headroom on the inside actually. On the outside with the panoramic roof, then it's getting close. So for the outside rear seats, you should probably leave out the panoramic roof if you have tall passengers in the rear. Then we also have this middle console in the rear with cup holders for the kids in some more storage area. And on the back part, you can also open this ski hatch to load things through. Flipping the seats from the trunk is one possibility. This is a manual possibility. Do it right from here. Top tether on the back part as well. Isofix on the outside parts from the front part. Again, loading things through easily. Great quality here also. And whoa, it's just a little bit heavy to put them up again. And the reason is that they want to have them fold down easily from the rear just when you press the button. So that's the downside of that. And another color, I always love to show you that. And this is also the Momentum trim level with 19-inch optional exhaust though. But you can see, for example, in the front there's a difference with the front grille. You have still the vertical fins, but they are not chrome polished like with the Inscription. It still looks quite elegant, I think. Also with the contrast in the lower bumper there. And this is also then for the Momentum trim level from standard equipment. The headlights, you can see them right there. By the way, here, you see this design on here on the front hood? That's pretty powerful stuff. So great design job they did there too. And soon I'm sure also the interior on this car. And that proves the point that you can easily go also with a lower trim level. Let's look out for that. Different engines, of course, available. Soon more to that. But first of all, a look in the trunk right here. Because this one is done with dark fabric. Well, you can't see so much on camera, but if you don't fancy the bright interior for the back trunk, then that's it. And here we can also open the lower part, optional also with a replacement tire. There we go. And also interesting, you can also press a button here at the inside. There it was for the tow bar. There we go. It's fixed, and when I press the button again, there it is, it's loose, and I can flip it back in. Also a very nice solution for sure. The car also has, the flipping seats function. I can show you it once more, because it's really nice. There we go, again with a 1/3, 2/3 split. So guys, this is pure Scandinavian style, like furniture design here in the Momentum trim. The base trim is rather, more black fabric and stuff. You can get that too. But if you want a little bit more fancy, you can go for this one. So you have the matte aluminum style, for example, also as decor elements. You can go for that one. Looks a little bit more sporty and modern, but you can also go for the wood trim. And then, wow, this is really sofa lounge-alike. Those covers are called City Weave. And they also have been available for the V40. I think seen it before. Now with the V60 too, and this and fabric on the inside and leatherette on the outside, so no animals harm for this one, and it's a great quality. So if you then compare it to the animal-based leather, you hardly see any difference. So this is a good example of how I can do things better. So, and also comfort-wise, those seats here are really superb, and I'm really thinking about seeing this, sitting here, with the new design, this Scandinavian simplicity and this, lounge furniture. So if you ask, you always ask me, what's your favorite car in the segment? And if I think about now, A4, C-Class and BMW 3 Series, they're all great cars. And especially, the driving dynamics. And so I expect to be better, for example, with BMW than with this one. However, we soon to test drive this one, of course, so I can't say anything about that yet. But from the interior styling and the comfort here, I really get the impression that this one will be my new favorite mid-size estate, or then later in 2018, then the S60, the sedan. So I'm really impressed, and again, because this was a good price-performance deal. The City Weave, as far as I checked the price list from, for example, the XC40, the new one, are also an option then for the base trim, but they're not that expensive actually, so you can still go either for a rather subtle trim, the base trim, keep it rather one color, because for some it might be, too much a little bit. Some say that's, a little bit too extraordinary. But if you want it a little bit more spiced up, and then also with, the fabric you keep warm in winter and also cold in summer times, I think the car as it stands here right now, maybe when with the blue exterior, to me the perfect combination. So, and also the rear seats have the same design, and I just want to keep sitting here. I'm walking a lot of the motor show, it's really stressful, and I can really relax when I'm just sitting here. But of course I want to show you how the rear legroom differs then, because the seat form was a little bit different, but they seem the same from the rear, and yes, indeed. So it's the same here from the rear also. Also quite comfortable seating position here in the rear again. And what else? This car has a little bit more power here now, it seems. Not only 12-volt power supply in the lower part, which has this illumination. USB ports would be good there, for sure. On the top part here, you can also have a seat heating for the outer seats and also a separate vent control. So Volvo all about 2-liter 4-cylinder engines. Diesel, there's a D3 with 150 horsepower, or this one here, the D4 with 190 horsepower, and both are either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive optional. And then there's also a T5 petrol engine with 250 horsepower, starting with front-wheel drive. And then there are also top petrol and hybrid engines. Let's move on over to the hybrid car to explain you more about those. So there's the T6 with 310 horsepower, but also the T6 twin engine. That one is then the hybrid, then you get 340 horsepower, and you charge the car electrically here in the very front. And as a top model, there's also the T8 twin engine, then with 390 horsepower. And this is the cutaway model of the hybrid drivetrain. First of all, everything you see in orange here belongs to the electric part. And especially in the middle, it will soon become very interesting, I can promise you. And it also reveals how the all-wheel drive system is working. Let's start in the front in detail. So what you can see in blue is in dark blue right here. This is the electric motor. There's one in the front and one in the rear. This one is the one in the front. This is supporting the front drivetrain. So when you have a normal all-wheel drive, petrol or diesel, then it's basically front-wheel drive plus rear-wheel drive. Via a clutch in the middle. But here, front and rear axle are disconnected, basically. So there one electric motor supports the front wheel, which is mainly driven by the combustion engine. This one here is, to change the electricity, the transformators. Then in the middle part, the biggest one, this is the battery. And this is actually the part where you just have the middle tunnel, for transferring the front power to the rear as well. And when you don't have that, then there's a gap actually. And then they thought, okay, let's put the battery in this gap. So the middle tunnel remains, as we see in the interior, but you can hide the battery right there and don't lose, for example, trunk space height. And if we then go to the rear, this is where the main electric motor sits, because the rear axle is just powered by the rear by this rear electric motor. This is here for the charging infrastructure, so it goes all the way from the front to here. This one is basically the charging module. And this one is again the part we've seen in the front, the transformator, which is then, delivering the right proper energy for the electric motor. Pretty interesting to see that here in the cutaway model. And that again means there's no connection front and rear wheels. It's just electronically decided actually how much torque is getting where. And then you might think, okay, when the battery is depleted, what happens then? Then the normal combustion engine is always loading up again the battery in a way that is enough power to have the rear wheels. Why are they doing that? Well, maybe if you're stuck in an off-road situation where you really need the rear wheels because you otherwise won't get out of the mud, then you still have the all-wheel drive, although when the battery is depleted. That's not, of course, not really efficient, more efficient is it to charge the plug-in hybrid? There are some statistics that a lot of people do not do that at all. But maybe when the charging infrastructure is rising at work and or at home, then you maybe also have more chance to charge this plug-in hybrid. The realistic driving figure, I mean, we couldn't test it yet for the all-electric drive. Not all electric, plug-in electric drive for this engine. Well, it will be about 30 kilometers an hour. That's my estimation for the realistic driving. Otherwise, it's supporting the engine to keep the rest of the consumption low. But of course, it really makes just sense when you are really charging it. Now to the conclusion. The Volvo V60 is for sure not a super revolution, but it has been finely tuned in every sense. So a sharper exterior, definitely. Was also time for renewal, new platform that offers you more versatility. It is not, again, you know, not this boxy old Volvos with super much luggage space, but we've shown you it has actually enough versatility, also with flipping the seats and stuff. Now, as the car has become significantly longer, yeah, to one extent it gets a little bit, you know, bigger just when driving in the city and stuff. But then again, you have way more legroom, especially for the rear passengers. That's the main difference now. Also, the interior has been tweaked, so we have a lot of great design style elements. You've seen also that in the lower trim levels you can make it super beautiful. And I think that's also a super unique selling point. So many premium manufacturers offer then or show us on the driving ends the super top trim levels and, you know, super expensive, double the entry price and so on. But the real key is to make the lower and middle trim levels that attractive that you say, I'm driving a special car, although I did not pay double the price of the entry price. And I think that will very well work here, as we've shown you with the Momentum car with the City Weave interior, and I'm really a fan of it. So one of my favorite cars here from the Geneva Motor Show. Really well done. Also with alternative drivetrains. The engines themselves from Volvo, the normal combustion engines, are usually really high fuel consuming. You have to keep that in mind. Therefore, the plug-in hybrid can already make sense. Of course, if you really have the chance to charge it quite often. And now, what about your feedback? I'm always looking forward to your comments. What do you think about the new V60? Then later this year, we'll also present you the S60, the sedan, which will basically be the same, just with a different roofline, less luggage space. And of course, soon we will drive this one, and then you will also tune into Autogefühl.